Hey everyone, Matt and Beth here. We are just wanted to make this quick video. It's quick, it's about 15 minutes, but at least it allows you time to be able to look at it when you want, start and stop it, go back. Anyway, just kind of an initial reach out on our Camino project that we've all been talking about and some of the progress we made. So we thought we would just start out by first of all introducing everybody, and Beth's going to just give a little quick summary of who everybody is. So if you don't know anybody, you do know at least by name and a little bit about their background. So.
All right, so everybody knows Matt and I. We live here in Southwest Virginia. Then we also have Maria. She is from Salem, Oregon. I've known Maria about 30 years. Our kids grew up together. She is a newly retired head of HR for Salem Kaiser School District and a pilgrim of 2025. Then we have Tony. Tony is a Navy buddy of Matt's and a friend for over 40 years. He's also the vice president of Tactical Retreat Unplugged, and he's done 2 Caminos. So he knows what it's like to be a pilgrim. Then we have Sue and Mitch Hamilton. Mitch is head of transportation for the Salem Kaiser School District. And Sue is a friend and co-worker for over 30 years, business owner. She's a realtor, and she actually flew out to Virginia to help us build the bunkhouse here. And she is not a pilgrim yet, but planning to be one in 2026. Then we have Ann Williams. She lives in Northern Virginia. Ann is a retired Navy nurse, a photographer, a real team player, and she was a pilgrim from 2025. So then we have Chris Weremuth. He's a fellow Tazewell person. He's a well-respected, semi-retired hospital CEO and COO and a retired real estate manager. So he also was a pilgrim in 2024, and we'd be really lucky to have him in our group. We have Josh Adkins. He's from Salem, Oregon. He's a 34-year-old successful engineer, and he also happens to be my son. And so that's who we have in the group so far.
All right, so that's everybody. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for being part of this incredible Camino project idea that we have. Over the past couple of weeks, Tony and I have been hard at work in Galicia, Spain. We drove over 2,000 miles across the region with our realtor, Benny, who you'll meet. We were exploring towns, walking sections of the Camino, and touring several properties that might fit our vision. Now, after we saw a wide range of options, we believe we found the clear and obvious choice for our albergue project. Let me introduce Laurenza, Spain to you. Laurenza, Spain. This property is located in this small little town. It's a beautiful little historic town in northern Galicia. Sits directly on the Camino del Norte. When I say directly, I mean it walks right up next to the building. It's one of the main pilgrim routes leading into Santiago de Compostela. It's a small, friendly little town full of character. It's the home of the monastery of San Salvador, and it's part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. We went into this little cathedral, and it's amazing. It's surrounded by rolling green hills and valleys, and it's about 15-20 minutes from the northern coast of Spain. So as you look around on your map, you can see where it's at. It's about 45 minutes from Lugo, which is kind of a major city, if you will, and close to major attractions. Like I said, it's about 15 minutes from the northern coastal beaches, which are a big draw for what we're looking to do. It really is a perfect location for pilgrims seeking rest and connection on their journey into Santiago. So, a little bit about this property that we found. So the property itself is a 3-story corner building. It's right on the corner of a street and kind of a side street. It's 11 bedrooms, 3 kitchens, 3 bathrooms. It has a good-sized backyard and a cafe-style outdoor seating space on the front, right on the kind of the street sidewalk, if you can picture that. Structurally, it's in great shape. It's nearly turnkey from what we've seen. The work needed is really minimal. We're going to be some painting. We're going to need to buy some new beds and linens. We're going to need a washer and dryer. We got one kitchen on the main floor that'll need some refinishing, and some equipment bought and counters, whatnot. We could easily create a 20-bed albergue here and still dedicate an entire floor just as private owner's quarters. So we could basically have an entire floor just for all of us, complete with its own kitchen and bathroom. We originally talked about $25,000 kind of buy-in per person or per couple, and split that 7 ways. That'd be about $175,000 US all in. Now the asking price for this is $189,000, and which turns into be about $215,000 US dollars. I'm just going to take a break. We originally talked about $25,000 buy-in per person or per couple. So you split that 7 ways, we'd be at about $175,000 US dollars in our kitty, if you will. The asking price for this property is $189,900, which turns into be about $215,700 just at that offer price. So with taxes and fees and all the realtor things that go into the final purchase price, would it be about $250,000 US dollars at the asking price. Now, in talking to both realtors who in turn have had conversations with the owner, who we've met a couple times now, we all believe that if we offer 180,000 euros, that it probably would be accepted. We don't think she would go below 180,000 euros. So that would be all in with the fees, would not be about 205,000 euros, which would be about $240,000 US funds, which to me for this property is exceptional for a property of this size, the location, and how ready this property is. As you can see, that leaves us about 65,000 US dollars short right now. So, some ideas. First of all, it's the perfect opportunity to increase your investment percentage, if you would like, which increase your percentage of profit. Or we can bring in more investors, which we might have a couple takers that we'll send this video out to that might be interested in doing that, that are thinking of joining this project, or a combination of both. All of that just allows us to get into the door, basically just to purchase the property, get the keys, and have at it. Of course, from then we'll have some expenses to open the doors. That would be additional costs, though not really too much. Beds, bedding, kitchen readiness. We want to probably paint the outside just to freshen it up, and we need to buy a vehicle because we need to get around. So just to start off, Beth and I are prepared to up our portion to $30,000 and purchase the vehicle. And we're going to purchase an 8 or 9 person van so we can move people or materials or whatever. We'll just simply add that cost into our total percentage of the buy-in. We could either then build in a contingency dollar amount for other needed purchases, or potentially maybe just say, you know, as an example, maybe Mitch and Sue buy the bunk beds, and then maybe Ann buys the linens, or Chris buys the paint. Maybe Maria buys the espresso machine. I don't know, just some examples that we could split up some of the startup things. Of course, just again, examples and nothing set in stone. But that would allow us to split up some of the initial cost, although those costs could be added into each person's or couple's total buy-in contribution percentage, and a bigger piece of the profit pie when we come out the other end. Also know that we learned while we were there and talking with the mayor's office that the local municipality has matching grants available for albergues to restore and upgrade and to build them as a way to promote the Camino and tourism. So that opens up some potential funding help for us, and it sounds like this municipality is really wanting and willing to help albergue owners and such, to help them bring some people to this little town. So I think there's a real opportunity there that we could pay for some of our things, you know, the paint, maybe some of the kitchen build out, whatnot. Anyway, We also have a local Spanish architect ready to create a permit-ready project plan. Now, architects there are a little bit different than what we consider when we say, oh, God, we got to hire an architect and it's going to be $10,000 or whatever to get a blueprint. Architects there really are like contractors slash project people. They're the people you go to and say, okay, we have this building. We want to put 20 beds in it. We want to build out the kitchen on the main floor. We want to whatever, put a pizza oven in here, blah, 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 whatever some ideas are. And then that person will go look at the property and put together a plan and basically tell us what is required, what's allowed. Maybe they say, oh, you can only put 4 bunks in this bed or this bedroom, or you can put 10 bunks in that one, or you need to have whatever electricity wired to this for this kitchen. Anyway, they'll give us all that information and make it permit ready from what I understand. And so then they actually go to the government, to the local municipality with this plan, once we approve it, of course, and help us get the permits, and then we're off and running. So the great thing about it is this architect, the Spanish architect that our realtor Benny has lined up, will do all that for about $500 US, which is crazy, I think. Anyway, Beth and I are willing to foot that bill right up front, just to get this rolling, because we also do see this. I mean, it gives us a professional blueprint and probably some cost estimates. They'll give us some ideas of what the cost to do some of this things, and it'll give us an idea to be able to move forward confidently. And maybe they point out something. It's almost like a home inspection as well. Maybe they point out that, like, oh yeah, whatever, maybe the roof is completely worthless, which I don't think it is. But as an example, maybe they come back and say, the whatever is going to cost an extra $30,000, and so we then go, okay, thanks for letting us know. We're going to pull out of this because we're not ready to make an offer. We can do all this before we make the offer, so it's kind of, again, like a home inspection for $500, probably well worth doing at this point, if we all think this is a great piece of property. And I know Tony and I, just from being on property, we do think this is very much worth it doing. We saw some places that looked like 300-year-old castles without a roof, and this is not that. This is a beautiful place ready to go. So anyway, we're ready to kind of do that if we think that that's what the group would like to do. And again, before we can do all that before we make an official offer, which is really great. So realistically, we could be up and running, we think, within 1 or 2 months of purchase. Given the state of this property, it's nearly turnkey. We're going to do some painting and some upgrades, and like I said, we need to buy some beds and things and some towels and whatnot, but other than that, we're ready to go. So let's talk a little bit about legal and practical ways that we can purchase this property in Spain as a group. There really are 3 main options to consider. Option 1, all 8 owners purchase this together in Spain, like you would think you would buy a house anywhere. Each of us would become co-owners on the deed and actually be listed on the deed. To do this, though, everyone must obtain an NIA number, which we've talked a little bit with some of you. I think it's their national foreign tax ID number. Now, Beth and I already did that. You have to go to the embassy to get that and whatnot. We've done that. But then all 8 of us would be required to travel together to Spain in person at the time of closing to all sign the closing documents together at the same time. Totally doable, but it's going to require a lot of coordination and travel for all 8 people. Not the best option, in my opinion. Now, option 2, we can form a United States LLC and a Spanish SL, which is their LLC. It's kind of a 2-step structure. We'd form an LLC in the U.S. that defines ownership shares, profits, expenses, responsibilities. Then with that LLC, we then go to Spain and create the SL in Spain with the help of a Spanish attorney. Now, the problem with that is a Spanish attorney is going to cost us about 1,500 to 2,000 euros, which is about 2,500 US. All members would still need to travel to Spain once to sign and register that SL or LLC. But after that, everything is legally tied to the Spanish and U.S. company and not individuals. So, of course, we all know a little bit about liability and whatnot. That's got some positives to it. Now, of course, this structure adds some upfront costs, but it simplifies taxes and liability and future expansions and whatnot. Now, option 3, in my recommendation, given its contractual protocols and ease and expense to create, it's basically a U.S. partnership contract, basically naming 2 or 3 of us as primaries and everybody else, however many we end up with, as investors. It's the simplest option. We basically drop a legal contract or agreement here in the United States with an attorney between all the investors, basically outlining ownership percentages, profit sharing, tax responsibilities, decision-making authority, inheritance or passed down protocols. Those are things that we got to be thinking about. Then 1 or 2 or 3 of us, maybe, and Beth and I, and perhaps Maria was our first call. Maria's invaluable as a native Spanish speaker. Though we are not in any way limiting it to us, we're not saying this has to be, a Matt and Beth and Maria primary on the deed. We are more than happy if somebody else wants to be on the contract and deed. We can have as few or as many primaries. We just make the contract, identify who the primaries are. Basically, all the primaries do they're the ones that are kind of allowed by the contract to, make decisions on buying things or selling things or whatever we want to do. I mean, somebody has to, at some point, has to make decisions, and so that's all the contract does. Again, does not have to be Beth and I. It can, if somebody else really wants to do it, we are more than happy, because whoever the primaries are also going to be responsible for coordinating everything. Taxes at the end of the year, and I say keeping the books and doing all the behind the scenes stuff. So it's some work. I'm happy to share that with anybody. However, I do think having Maria as a native Spanish speaker is invaluable. I think she absolutely should be one of the primaries. Now, we haven't talked to Maria about this, so we're hoping Maria is going to agree, but she's really excited for this. This really was her idea to begin with, so we're kind of saying, Maria, we want you as a primary. Anyway, having somebody there every day that can speak Spanish when we have those times when we need to, go down and pay the taxes or whatever, it just would be so much nicer to have somebody that speaks Spanish. Anyway, we can talk about that as it moves on. So the primaries basically hold the property in their names. In other words, the deed would be in the primaries' names, and they would act as the primaries on behalf of the contract or the group. So that means 2 or 3 or 4 people, whatever we decide, are the only ones that would need to get an NIE number and then travel to Spain for the closing. And then the agreement itself governs everyone's rights and protections back home, which we know, again, limits some liabilities and whatnot. The good thing is that we can have that contract also notarized in Spain. We basically just translate it into a Spanish language, and then it makes it binding there in Spain as well as it just does here, which we think is a good idea. Each option has its pros and cons, from simplicity and cost to legal protection, flexibility, and that's part of what we want to discuss next as a group, and so one of the reasons we're having this discussion here. So next steps. So today's goal really was originally we wanted to have a Zoom call, but just trying to get everybody's schedule is very hard. Chris had some family emergencies pop up this last week, and so he has been out of pocket, and Maria traveled to Mexico, and she's going to have some connection problems. And anyway, just as trying to connect with 8 people anywhere in the world is hard to do, we just thought if we do a video, everybody can look at it, everybody can watch it, and write down some answer questions, and we can start sharing some emails, strings, and whatnot. So today's goal is basically introduce everybody, what Beth has done for us, so you have an idea when you hear somebody's name, you kind of have an idea of who's who. We just wanted first of all, share the property that we think is at the top of our list, really the only one out of all the properties that Tony and I looked at that is truly viable. Now, it doesn't mean that this is the end. If we want to continue searching, of course we can. But for the price and the location and the basically turnkey ability of this property and how big it is, 11 bedrooms, it just meets all the standards that I just don't know we're going to find any other place. Now, I say that and you can always find some other place. I get it. This place has been on the market for over a year. The grandma of this family goes over every week and mops the floors and dusts everything. Really proud of this property, so it's well taken care of. You saw the video, I think, or I hope you have. If you haven't already, we'll send it back out. I just put a kind of a video together to music just so you can see the property. But some of the things that I will tell you, other than it being directly on the Camino, you literally have to walk past and look right inside the main floor of the building when you get ready to cross the street, which means we will have thousands of people walking right there, which is perfect. But also, they set this building up and did some remodeling with it where they were going to divide all the floors into different apartments. So by doing that, they upgraded the electrical systems, and each floor has its own separate electrical, like its own box, if you will. And I took a little picture of that. So that is, I don't say state of the art, but it's modernized. It is very new and modern. Makes it super easy. If there is an electrical problem on the third floor, you just cut off the third floor's electrical and do the work there. They've also done the same thing with the water. So each floor has its own water, dedicated water service and connection and monitoring, I guess, if you will. So there's just a couple things like that are just far and above what any other property that we saw even came close to. So just continuing on, we just want to begin a conversation about which ownership structure makes most sense for our goals, our time, and our comfort level. So I'd like to hear back from you what you all might think you'd be comfortable with. If the contract option is good, we'll try to send out some more photos. We'll send some information about the architect that we know, the realtor's contact, just so you have all the information. We absolutely don't want to be, we're not going to ever hide anything. We're in this together. We've all, we've kind of been selective, each of us individually and collectively, as we've said, hey, let's think about inviting so-and-so. Let's think about, see if they're interested. We've been pretty selective in the trust factor of who we've asked to participate in this. And so we feel really good about everybody that we've asked. We feel really good about potentially the couple people that we want to, that are looking into if this is a viable option for them to invest. And we're open to others. I mean, if you know somebody or have somebody in mind that you might think might be interested in doing this, and there's some people in this group that are simply doing this as an investment. They don't want to have anything to do with painting or making espressos in the morning or whatever it is that we might have to do as owners. So that's an option too. If there's simply some people just want to be investors, and that's great. Anyway, so I'm just looking for some feedback, some ideas, some thoughts, some questions, whatever you have. We're generally excited about how far we've come on all this. As of today, we have money commitments from, of course, Beth and I, from Maria, from Tony, Mitch and Sue, and Josh. So we're hoping we can move forward in late December or early January if possible. Basically, hoping everybody will be ready in about that time frame. This might help if you need or want to move some money around in 2025 and or split with your 2026 money for tax reasons. I know we're going to do that, take some money out this year, take some money out next year. So we'll soon open up a business account here in the U.S. for this group. So we're able to start depositing funds into one account here that we will have wide access to for everybody. Again, we're not going to hide anything. And then we can make transfer from that business account to Spain when the time comes. So with all that, we're close to needing a decision on your part. If you're still kind of on the fence about whether you want to join this venture, or if you're not wanting or able to, totally understand. This is kind of the time we need to start getting some decisions. I'm working on a business plan right now to lay out some basics such as costs and profit potential, etc. And I'll send that out as soon as I'm finished in the next few days. Nothing overwhelming, a few pages that might help you make a final decision if you're still wondering, like, is this really for me? So I can tell you from personal experience, this is my third Camino now, that albergues are in high demand. And even with a conservative occupancy rate of 60%, the profit margin is significant. So more on that later as the business plan kind of spells it out a little bit, gives you a better idea of some costs, whatnot. Anyway, thank you all for the trust and enthusiasm, the shared vision for what this Camino Project can become. Not just a place to stay for all of our families when we go to Europe, have a central point to be, but it's a place that restores and connects and inspires travelers from around the world. We really look forward to your thoughts, your questions, your ideas on the next step forward and how this project continues. So, buen camino, everybody.